the channel. Always Something Garage. Yep, always something in here. Here's a 2008 Rubicon. Buddy of mine's Jeep. Gonna help him out with some axle seals. He got front axle seals leaking. He got rear axle seals leaking. He's got a couple other issues that we're gonna address and see what we can do to get him back on the road here. But yep, just had to get him in here, get him out. I promised him this for about 6 months, so we're going to get him fixed up. See what we got. All right, we're on to the back here. Again, he's got a leaking rear seal. Looks like this side over here is wet, so I'm going to do both axle seals back here while we got it apart. So, got a drain just like the front. Little drain plug. Drain this oil out. Plugs are magnetic. You can see there's a bunch of junk on there. Nothing crazy. These newer rears with the drain plugs in the bottom, it's the greatest thing they ever did. Some of you older guys working on some of the older Dana 44s or even 60s that don't have a plug in the bottom, you got to pop the cover. You know, you have that mess, so you definitely want to leave the one bolt on. But this drain's pretty good with them plugs in the bottom. You got smart over time. Somebody must have complained to the engineers. First thing we need to do, we got the cover off, drain the oil out of it. We're going to pull this caliper off, we'll get the caliper mount off, pull the rotor, get to the axle flange bolts, pull the axle out. So there you can see the sensor pulled out. Doesn't like get stuck on the probably can't see, but on the axle flange on so just pull the sensor out so that you're not going to get it caught up on when you start to pull the axle out. So right now, as you can see, it's about 1.5 inches out, but that should free up enough space. Now we got to break the axle flange bolts and get this axle out of here. These are they're like a lock nut, called a deformed lock nut. So they'll be tight. You won't, you know, it's loose now. It's about 3/16 of a gap off the flange, but it'll be tight all the way because it's a lock nut. So can't really spin them off by hand. Just keep track of your little shims here. That one fell out, so it was a little war. These are stuck in there pretty good, so leave them in there. Break the caliper mount bolts. Gonna take the sensor off here, wheel sensor. They got this little red clip. They're a pain in the butt sometimes. So you can take a little screwdriver, just pry it in there and just pop it out. It's an 8mm bolt right here for the sensor. Tight, of course. Put a little leverage on here. Definitely has not been apart. It's got 190,000 miles on this Jeep. hopefully everything comes apart. We all know how it goes working on things with this many miles. You end up breaking something or getting something stuck. And we're just wondering why his rear axle is leaking on this side. I just put a little pressure on the flange, and usually that's the case. The bearings are gone. Obviously bearings went and pushing on the seal and creating an opening, but wow, yeah, it's good he's got it in here. So that's why I said earlier, this the bearings in this passenger axle are gone. That's why they're seeing the gear oil running out of the bottom of it. I don't know if you can see this. That's up and down movement. Excessive in and out, but up and down, it's crazy. So that's what new bearings, new seal in there, fix that right up. So I took the rotor, flipped it around, put a couple of lug nuts on there, at least 3, and using it to pull this axle out. I do have a slide hammer with a flange adapter. I just thought this is a trick if you don't have that. Let me show you how it works, but gives you a little leverage to get this out. All right, got the slide hammer in here. Got to get this inner race here, or the outer race, out of the tube. So hopefully we can get this out. So what ended up happening was the seal. Here's the seal. Here's your taper bearing and the collar. So the seal, you can see here, this has been apart before. Somebody has put this seal on. So of course they put looks like some silicone or something on that seal housing, and then of course they pressed it in here. Well, that seal housing was stuck. I mean, stuck. So this was stuck inside the axle tube, and used a little propane torch, heated it up to try to soften up the sealer, and then I took my air hammer, air chisel basically, and I started to beat on the seal. And I tried to collapse it within itself from outside in, and then of course beat on it more with the slide hammer, heated it up some more, but finally got it out. So we'll see how the driver's side goes. All right, as you can see, got both out. As expected, driver's side came out with the slide hammer. Had to whack it probably 20 times, but was not stuck. It does look like the passenger side was repaired, and somebody put a seal in there because the driver's side did not have the same seal or sealant that somebody put on it. So anyway, there's the shafts. We're gonna have to do some new emergency brake hardware, but we got them out. Now, let's get these bearings off and press on some new ones. All right, got the shaft in the vise here. Gonna cut the collar off with a cut wheel. Just being careful not to get into the shaft. And then we'll I'm gonna end up cutting the bearing off too. Let's cut this shell. See if I can whack. Got it cut close. There she goes. Get just enough to relieve. See that? Just put a slice in it. It's really thin and just relieve that pressure. Pops right off. Now we need to do the same thing to this bearing. I'm going to cut the cage off of it and knock all the bearings out first. Now the inner race, I'm going to have to cut that. Here's the culprit. That little guy right there. All that. You got to do all this just to get that sucker in there. That's the axle seal. So let's get the new ones pressed on. And all right, got the axle in the press here. Got to make sure you got your seal up in there, and then we're just going to press this bearing with the collar, pushing the bearing on, and we'll be good to go. Alright, as you can see, we've got the passenger side axle back in there. We did change out some of the hardware. It was looking pretty nasty, but you can see we got it in. Just need to you just bang this in. I used a piece of block of wood and hammered in it. The axle, once you get the splines lined up at the carrier there, you need to just tap it in there and until it seats. And then we got the bolts in the back for the retainer plate. So we're going to tighten those up a little bit at a time. As you can see, there's a retainer plate. You see the gap there. We're going to just star pattern them, and that's going to pull that seal into the housing, which was stuck on the last one, if you guys remember. But we want to do that a little bit at a time. Don't want to do one side, and you might kink it in there. So let's tighten that up. Trying to keep track of the threads so I can make sure I'm tightening it evenly. So you can see the threads coming in the back. I'm just trying to keep them equal. Working them a little bit at a time. Get that seal to get in there. Now we get a torque wrench, and I think they're 46-ish, so I'll find out what the torque is, and then we'll get them torqued up and start putting the brake and the rotor and caliper back on it, and should be ready to go. Alright, got the caliper bracket on, got the two 18mm bolts here, little red Loctite. I'm going to put, I think the torque spec was 55 foot-pounds. Now we'll get the brake pads in there, get them lubed up a little bit, the pins here. I'll pull them out, put a little lube on them, and we'll put the caliper back on, and this side is done. There we go. Get the caliper on there.
Well guys, that'll be the end of this video. Hope you guys enjoyed the little rear axle seal installation on the 2008 Jeep Rubicon. As you can tell, I'm editing the video right now, and if I would have kept, the rear and the front installation on, it'd be like 40 minutes long. So I'm breaking it up. This is just the rear for this video, and then the next part will be the front. So I hope you guys liked the video. Make sure you guys go down, hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next one.